Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Today, I am going to dive on into the eagerly anticipated Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log solo role playing game from Modiphius Entertainment. This is written by Michael Dismuke with artwork provided by Stephanie Toro Guramendi. And I apologize, I'm pretty sure I messed up both those names. This 326 page digest sized hardcover is arriving in stores this month. I don't have an exact release date, but it is supposed to be August. Carries an MSRP of $36.99. Or you can grab the PDF right now over at DriveThruRPG for $18. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log. And I will point out, this is the next generation cover because there are actually 4 different covers that you can snag. And my Star Trek is pretty much next generation. So I asked the fine folks over at Modiphius Entertainment to share this copy with me. I do want to point out that they were kind enough to supply this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what's in the book. So let me get the shrink wrap off and take a peek at the back. Boldly go where no one has gone before. Let's see what's out there. Engage, Captain Jean-Luc Picard. The Captain's Log solo role-playing game presents a complete standalone rules system adapted from the award-winning Star Trek Adventures role-playing game. You can use to create original Star Trek stories with a dynamic character formed from your own imagination. Whether you are venturing into the cosmos alone, conducting galaxy-spanning missions cooperatively with friends, or exploring the unknown with a game master facilitating your adventures, use the contents of this book to generate countless hours of memorable adventures. Create an original character and then use the tools in this book, combined with your fertile imagination, to fashion your own fascinating Star Trek-style stories. Play in any era of Star Trek, from the 21st century to the 32nd century and everything in between. Explore strange new worlds, new civilizations, and all the wonders of the universe. What will you discover while exploring the final frontier? Should point out that with the various different editions, we've got the original series, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Discovery. The contents of the books are identical. The only thing that's different is the covers. So let's dive on in and take a peek. So we get a bit of an introduction here. A universe of possibility. For more than 55 years and across 11 television series, 13 feature films, and countless other forms of narrative, from novels to comic books to games of all types, Star Trek has delighted audiences worldwide with its science fiction storytelling in a future laced with hope, adventure, drama, and wonder. So we are going to have the breakdown of the book itself. So chapter 1 is going to be Star Trek Defined, which is going to provide us with a primer on what makes Star Trek unique. Then chapter 2 is the Star Trek Universe, which is aimed at newer casual fans who might not be all that familiar with various different series. Chapter 3, Reporting for Duty, explains how to build a character for Captain's Log, either through a detailed life path to generate the character's statistics and gameplay information, or via the creation and play method to get you into the game faster. Chapter 4, Your Home in the Stars, enables you to build the other critical component of your stories, the ship or station on which your character lives. Chapter 5, Rules of Play. Then we have Chapter 6, Playing Captain's Log, offers additional guidance on effective Star Trek style storytelling oriented towards starting, playing, and completing a captain's log session. Then we have some appendices. Probability matrices provides you with the most essential random tables you use in Captain's Log. Allies and adversaries, locations, and starships. And then we've got additional matrices and then forms. And I'm going to take a guess. We are going to have visuals from a variety of the different series, except for Strange New Worlds. I don't think Modiphius Entertainment has licensed Strange New Worlds yet. Everything else they have, Discovery, Lower Decks. You know what? I don't think they've licensed Picard yet. I'm sure those are on the horizon. So here we've got Star Trek Defined. Society, A Future of Hope. Among the many science fiction properties and franchises in popular media, Star Trek is unique in that it presents an image of humanity's future not as a post apocalyptic nightmare or a cynical dystopian cityscape, but rather as a positive, diverse, and hopeful one. Uniforms and ship corridors carry bright colors and dynamic designs. Crews made up of beings from dozens of different species and cultures work together to explore the mysteries of the universe, study scientific wonders, and still have time to explore their own rich inner worlds, to examine what it means to be alive, to play a role in a galaxy staggering in scope and potential. Sweet. Very cool. It looks like we've got a little bookmark in here too. Nice. So we've got a primer on Star Trek technology. So the cloaking device, it looks like we're going to kind of delve into gadgets and gear here. Warp drives, sensors, weapons. So of course we've got our phasers. Set phasers to stun. Transporters and replicators. The fine art of technobabble. I love that. Often, when Star Trek scriptwriters need to include dialogue that sounds scientific and technical, they simply type tech into the script and let designated technical consultants fill in the appropriately Star Trek sounding wording. As a player, you can operate in a similar manner. Don't worry about the difference between baryon particles and tachyon particles unless you want to. Just think about the gist of what you want to communicate and assume your character and the NPCs use the proper wording. So we have Starfleet's naval tradition. So we've got a nautical lexicon. So far, this looks pretty interesting just as a kind of a Star Trek guide. So it looks like we're getting the history here of the Federation, the temporal Cold War from Enterprise, and then we've got the 32nd century from Discovery. Adventures worthy of the silver screen, cinematic style campaigns. Grab an ice cold soda and a tub of popcorn, and don't forget the buttery topping. Star Trek has a long tradition of telling sweeping, action packed stories tailor made for the silver screen. And you might want to capture that same cinematic feel in your game. In most cases, movie style games adhere to the same conventions and tropes that you'll find in most other campaign styles. But there are a few considerations that can set your game apart if you decide to pull out all the stops and go for box office gold. Cut! This is very interesting so far. And I have to say, I'm very happy to see that we do not have the white on black, the white text on the black background with sort of the next generation trappings to the graphic design, because I find that to be rather taxing on my eyes after a while. So good to see that Modiphius Entertainment decided to just go with the standard black text on a white background. So we have Far From Home games, Lost in Space. Wait a second, that's a completely different IP. Lost in Time, Other Realities, Guidance for Far From Home games, Spice of Life games, station based games, unsanctioned missions, reporting for duty. So this is the character creation portion. And once again, you've got two approaches. You can take the life path, which is going to pretty much spell out just about everything for your character. And then it appears we have another, which allows you to kind of create the character as you play. So you can jump into the game. So, of course, we are utilizing two 20-sided dice, two or more 20-sided dice, because I think this is based on the same mechanics that are used in Star Trek Adventures. So you do have the 2D20 mechanics. And I would assume we are going to find loads and loads and loads of random tables, especially when you're looking at generating your adventures. Wow, there are a lot of species you can take on. Business or trade, agriculture or rural, science and technology, artistic and creative. It's kind of a background for the character, probably before they joined Starfleet. I think this comes from the Starfleet angle in Star Trek Adventures. I know there is the Klingon book, which allows players to take the roles of Klingons. I don't think we're going to see that too much in here. Not to say you can't play as a Klingon. I'm taking a guess you certainly can, but there's probably not going to be a ton of information about the Empire in here. So we got your character's assignment. That could be a commanding officer, executive officer, operations manager, flight controller or helmsman, chief engineer, chief of security, chief medical officer, science officer, ship's counselor, communications officer. We get a discussion of various different ranks. And then here's your creation and play. So this is your alternative character creation. So it looks like you choose your character's rank, assign your character's attributes, choose your character's species, name, and pronouns, assign two of your character's disciplines, choose a single value, and boom, you're off. Character conversion. Like many Starfleet officers before them, your character may find themselves traveling between parallel dimensions. In this case, Star Trek Adventures and Captain's Log. You might wish to play on your own, chronicling the continuing story of a player character you portrayed in a Star Trek Adventures campaign. You might want to graduate an officer whose backstory you've told with Captain's Log to a wider playgroup. Good news is that character building in both systems is largely compatible so long as you adjust to the slight differences in each game. So there you go. It's going to show you how to do that. Creating your home. So we've got creating your starship. So you can roll or select an era, roll or select a ship class. Assign trait by polity, such as a Federation starship. Consider a unique trait, such as flagship. Choose a number of ship talents equal to scale, and assign a name and registry, such as NCC 1701. And it looks like we've got breakdowns of different ship classes from the various series. The Excelsior, Galaxy class, the Picard era. So I guess, I guess they do have the license for Picard because it would be Next Generation, wouldn't it? There we go. Next Generation era. So yes, so we do have Picard. It looked like we had just the original series. So there's Enterprise era. And then the original series. So as of this point, which I wouldn't expect anyway, because Strange New Worlds is just in its second season right now. So there isn't a license in place for Strange New Worlds. I'm sure. I am sure it is coming. So you get a backstory for your ship. You got ship traits and talents. Captain's yacht, cloaking device, dual environment, fast targeting systems, improved warp drive, slim sensor silhouette, and then assigning names and registries. And then I would guess we're going to also have how to create a station. Yeah, there we go. Creating a Starbaser station. So very similar in approach. Now we got our rules of play. Hey, this is different than Star Trek Adventures. That's right. Players of Star Trek Adventures will note these rules are slightly different than what they are used to. Only 1 point of momentum or threat can be generated during a task roll in Captain's Log. In addition, complications work differently, which will be explained on page 193. The play mechanics for Captain's Log are different because they serve the gaming needs for solo RPGs, a growing genre. The mechanics in this book serve to spark the imagination and drive the narration of a story like you would see in a Star Trek show or movie. Star Trek Adventures game modules normally provide details up front about the various scenes game masters can run their players through, pre-built statistics, and a suggested conclusion. Captain's Log, on the other hand, encourages you to start with a few random rolls and let the story form as you go. You may be surprised how your imagination fills in the blanks and helps you create an epic story. And then upcoming chapter is going to provide guidance on how to follow the rhythm of a Star Trek show. So we have mission trackers. About the probability matrices. What is the yes-no probability matrix for? When playing a solo RPG like Captain's Log, players will need to act as their own guide through the universe. At times, your captain will be able to complete their tasks without any problem, but at other times, there will be an element of doubt. For actions in which there is no chance of failure or antagonistic force acting against you, it is generally fine for the action to succeed without any problem. All right, then we get the example there. And then it talks about if there's any element of risk or failure, then you're going to be using the yes-no probability matrix. Ramp up the conflict to create the best game. Can I play someone other than the captain? Yes. You may want to chronicle the story of another member of Starfleet. Maybe an admiral, junior officer, or cadet appeals to you. True, some positions are not inherently as action packed as others. So, running 7 years of games about an ensign in astrometrics might prove dull, since many ensigns do not see constant action like their bridge counterparts. And if they do, it often ends in death. Of course, the game is what you want to make of it. So, we've got values, directives, and focuses. Taking action. Personal actions. So, investigating. There's diplomacy, overcoming adversity, theorizing, landing parties, and away missions. How do I get my NPC crew involved? You're playing a character who is the star of Captain's Log, but any fan of Star Trek knows that a ship has dozens, if not hundreds, of crew members who assist the captain in performing the thousands of operations needed to keep a ship functional. In addition, a captain rarely goes on an away mission alone. That is why, that is what away teams are for. Use the ship's department rank to represent the crew. Make character sheets for non player characters. And then, of course, we have our probability matrix once again. Kind of surprised, not as much artwork as I was expecting, but that also means that this is really jam packed with content. So we've got our ship actions, starship combat, collaborative storytelling. So keeping in mind, even though this is portrayed as a solo role playing game, keep in mind, even though this is presented as a solo role playing game, you can certainly have more than one player playing, right? It's just essentially it is a GM-less role playing game. There you go. There's lower decks. So here we're getting into playing the game. So we've got the 3-act structure of most television series, at least most dramatic television series. The journey. So you're looks like you probably do a bit of journaling in this as well. Storytelling devices in medias res. So that's in the midst of the action, things begin. Ports of call. The fantastic finale. You have completed your current mission. You have conquered insurmountable odds. You have met new and fearsome challenges with the stalwart discipline of a Starfleet captain. You've guided your crew through the darkness and into the light. You have overcome obstacles and reveled in the excitement of exploration. You have grown as a person and as a captain. It's time to wrap up your adventure and memorialize the story. So, yes, as I said, I kind of get the feeling that there is some journaling involved with Captain's Log, thus the name. It's not, I don't think it's just called Captain's Log because of Star Trek. Of course, that plays very nicely into it, but I do think there's a journaling aspect or probably a fairly large journaling aspect to Captain's Log. So here we've got the various different matrices, encounters, and their probability, abandoned places, deep space, different reality or time, inhabited planets, spacefaring civilization, subspace, uninhabited planet, how to spend your momentum and threat. Because threat is in 2D20 games, momentum is something that the players can spend to improve their lot in life, essentially. Because there's a few different things they can spend momentum on. And threat works that way for the game master to allow the baddies and the villains their time in the spotlight doing cool things too and making things tougher for the player characters. Gotta say, this looks very, very interesting and different. This feels very unique. So these are just all the various different appendices here. Then we got forms. So we've got our character sheet. We have a starship sheet. So this is an example of that filled out. We've got our missions. We've got a mission tracker. So opening logs, or different logs, I should say. Here's our quick reference. So we get some page references. And then we've got that probability matrix, as well as our core game loop. Says narrate to a task, roll the dice, determine the impact, narrate the outcome, repeat until the mission's finished. Go right back. And we've got our index here. And Star Trek Online. That's kind of interesting that they've got an ad for that. And then Star Trek Adventures, which I find to be a really, really well done role-playing game. And there's always a lot of content coming out for Star Trek Adventures, which is a huge bonus as well. All right, so that is a first look at Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log from Modiphius Entertainment. Once again, this is arriving in stores this month. This book carries an MSRP of $36.99. You can get the PDF right now over at DriveThruRPG for $18. All right, that is it for this time out. Of course, stay tuned. I'm going to have a review of Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log in the very near future. So if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when I upload videos such as this first look, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Thank you very much for joining me. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, here's hoping you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.